Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Beyond Impact podcast. I'm your host, Colin Egglesfield, and I'm excited to be doing the first podcast of the new year. And hopefully, most of you had an amazing new year and were able to ring it in with family and friends. And hopefully, most of you didn't get sick like I did, which I'm recovering on the other side. So during the podcast, if you hear a little sniffle or a cough here and there, hopefully we can edit that out. But that is not going to stop me from having an incredible interview. And I'm really excited about talking to my next guest, who is someone who I met at David Fagan's Top Hollywood event a few months ago when I moved back to Los Angeles. And what is beautiful and great about networking is that you never know who you're going to meet. And one of the things that Woody Allen always describes about in terms of success in life and saying that 80-90% of success is just showing up, because you never know who you're going to meet and what opportunities that can come out of networking and just being in places where there's incredible people. And when you're around amazing people like David, he brings and cultivates an amazing group of people. And when I was there, I met this woman who was talking about podcasting. And this woman is someone who helps support people in the space of bringing more awareness and specificity to how you do a podcast and what messaging you're putting out there. And similar to what I've been doing over the past few years with my podcast, I started out doing Coffee with Colin during COVID. And some of you may be wondering why I pivoted from Coffee with Colin to the Beyond Impact podcast. And when I started this out, I started doing the podcast mainly as just a way to break up the boredom of COVID. So I was inviting my actor friends onto the show to talk about their careers and what they're up to, and just kind of reveal behind the curtain of what are some of the principles and mindset that has helped some of the most successful people out there achieve their goals and their dreams. And as I've been on this path, and moving more into doing corporate keynote speaking myself and doing workshops for companies and corporations. So, by the way, hint, hint, if any of you CEOs or HR directors out there are interested in having me come in and speak about impact and how to show up as your best for presentations or keynotes and whatnot, that is something that I do. And as I moved into this space, I created my consultancy, Beyond Impact. And I've been working on branding this, my essentially my consultancy for teaching people how to be more confident and impactful in front of the camera, in front of audiences. And as I've been on my entrepreneurial journey, I've been really seeking out the experts in the space, specifically with entrepreneurship and business development. And one of the amazing people that I met at David Fagan's event was this woman who's an expert in the podcasting space. And when she gave her presentation, all the sirens and the bells sounded off, because a lot of you out there may be doing a podcast, or you may be thinking about doing a podcast. I think we all know that the beauty and the importance of podcasting is to really get your voice out there. And if you're looking to grow a business or scale it or gain more clients, gain more credibility, and just establish yourself and your brand as a go-to trustworthy brand, or whatever it is that you do to be able to help your clients and to serve your clients the best. Podcasting is a great way to do it. However, when my next guest got up there and she started talking about, if you are just having someone on your show to have a conversation, and then you click record, and then you click stop, and then you put it up on social media, hoping that someone will find it, she said, you're wasting your time. And so today, she's going to be sharing with us the strategy and the specificity that it takes to be successful with podcasting. And this is a word that I think we all will pay attention to and really like to hear. The word is monetization. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, what we're wanting to do with podcasting, some of you may be wanting to podcast and just do it for fun, but I think a lot of us are really doing it for an intentional purpose of growing a business, growing awareness, and really wanting to make bigger impact, and not just financially or monetarily, but also just knowing that you're fulfilling on your purpose. And obviously, the way to do that is by generating a lot of abundance in all areas, including financial. But who doesn't like to increase their bottom line, right? So today's guest is, her name is Lady Jen Du Plessis. And what's amazing about her is that she's got amazing stage presence, and she runs 3 different podcasts, and she has a strategy that she's going to be sharing with us today. And Lady Jen Du Plessis is Dame Commander, and she's a globally recognized voice in media, podcasting, and business scaling. She's the host of 3 top-ranked podcasts: Mortgage Lending Mastery, the longest-running podcast in the mortgage space at 15 years. 15 years, guys, she's been doing this. So she knows a thing or two about podcasting. And Business on the Vine, which is also her streaming TV show, reaching over 350 million homes worldwide. I mean, guys, she's like the Oprah Winfrey of essentially what she's doing. And Success to Significance, Life After Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. She is also the former host of the inspirational TV series, Tell Me I Can't. And with 40 plus years in finance and over $400 million in revenue generated, yes, you did hear me correctly, Lady Jen is known as the business scaling architect and has helped more than 8,000 entrepreneurs create companies with her simple 5-step hustle to harmony system. I just love the sound of that. And this powerful and fun method helps business owners 3 times their revenue while saving 5 times their time, so they can serve clients at the highest level while enjoying more freedom and fulfillment. Who doesn't want more of that? And as a numerous #1 Amazon bestselling author and award-winning international speaker, she brings unmatched media expertise and leadership to her Golden Mic Mastery program, which we're going to be talking about more here and sharing with you how you can join her Golden Mic Mastery program. And what this does is equip professionals to stand out, build powerful business relationships, and increase profits through podcasting. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Miss Lady Jen Du Plessis. How you doing, Jen?
Hi, I'm good. I'm so afraid when I listen to that. I'm like, oh, am I going to be able to live up to that today? Right? So, wow, it's exciting.
Well, you will be, and then some, because you are such a dynamic individual, human being, speaker, and I think we can always learn something from people who are successful with what they're doing. And that's why I'm really excited and grateful and honored to have you here to share your amazing expertise and what you shared with us at David's event. So if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about your background and how you got to be where you're at, what drives you, what's your passion for doing this?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, for having me on the show. And, one of the gifts that we're going to give people here on the show is related to podcasting. So, I'm just going to plant that little seed that we'll give away this gift that will help people. But, so as you mentioned, I've had a 40-year business or career in financial services. Right now, I own 4 companies. So speaking and authoring and podcasting, that's just one company that I own. I have some brick and mortars as well. And so I stay in that realm. I love money for a lot of reasons. I love running numbers. I love strategizing. I'm a real estate investor. So I love negotiating deals and being creative, so I just love that part of it. And so here I was in the mortgage business for 35 years, and I had this goal that I didn't want to be in it for 40 because that sounded like an attorney. I wanted to get out before I was 55. I wanted to fund $1 billion in loans. And so I was preparing myself for that. And on a Friday, I funded a $522,000 loan, which took me over $1 billion. And on Monday, I retired.
Wow.
I retired because I retired at 53, I think I was 52, 53, 35 years in the business. But I had become one of the top 200 loan officers in the country. And with that, and then being a woman, but with that, people were coming to me saying, how did you do it? How did you do it? Can I pick your brain, etc. And I'm such a giver that sure, but I had a company to run. And so 15 years ago, and as we're recording this is the beginning of January, we just celebrated 15 years 9 days ago on January 1st.
Wow.
I heard about this thing called a podcast. And I thought maybe we could try it. That's how I'll answer questions, right? That's how I'll answer everybody's questions. And at that time, they were only audio. They were not interviews, no video. And so here I was with my cell phone and my I don't even know what it's called now because they're earbuds now. What are earphones? Phones in my closet, standing in my closet with the door closed, and you can hear my dog trying to get in the room, right?
Authenticity.
Right. And I must have done, sometimes 20 takes. Now I don't do any takes. I just do, right? But I will tell you, if I did not have that podcast, because it opened up the doors, right? People wanted me to speak on stages. I spoke with Tony Robbins. I spoke with George W. Bush. We were on a leadership panel together. Darren Hardy. Barbara Corcoran, right? Les Brown. I ended up being on Les Brown's speaking faculty. All kinds of great people speaking about leadership and, how do you grow these big teams and create this big business? And I tell you this, if I did not have the podcast, I would simply be another retired loan officer. That's it. That's the story. And so if you want to make an impact in the world, if you want to have influence in the world, leave a mark for destiny, dynasty and legacy, that my great grandkids, because those people won't know me. They won't know me, but they will when I have books, when I have video, when I have all this out there. And that's how I want to leave my legacy to my family. So that's where it started. And, then it grew to another one, and then I needed another one. And there's a story behind that too.
So essentially the first one was about how to be successful in the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it was all business. It still is, yeah.
And what would you say are some of the success principles that enabled you to be as successful to write $1 billion worth of loans? Because a lot of people in the space of entrepreneurship and independent contractors, a lot of it, we have to be self-driven and self-motivated. What is some of the things that drove you to be as successful as you got?
Yeah. Well, what drove me to be, let me back up. What drove me is that my father was an alcoholic. And my mother was a verbal abuser. So she was my first bully. And by the way, I'm from Michigan, just like you, Michigander. We get to hold it. We talked about that, yeah. So what drove me was if I'm perfect, he won't drink. If I'm perfect, she won't yell. And my uncle said, he called me Jenny who ain't got a penny. Right. So here I am in this atmosphere, and I put a shield on myself. I was an only child. I put a shield on myself and said, no one's going to know what's going on behind the closed doors. I'm just going to pretend like it's perfect. The old fake it till you make it, which is truly an imposter syndrome. And, there's aspiration, but then there's this imposter syndrome. And it drove me to excel everywhere. I have a really high IQ. I was going to be a cardiologist. I played flute and piccolo. I was runner-up Miss Colorado. I was state champion. I was a cheerleader. I mean, I can go on and on, because all of this achieving and this perfection was all so that someone would recognize that I'm not Jenny who ain't got a penny. And someone would say, I'm proud of you. Right. This is why I had the show, Tell Me I Can't. It wasn't don't tell me I can't. It was go ahead, watch me. Right. Because that's my thought. Right. That's my. But I took that into the business world, which worked for many, many, many years until it didn't. So this is the hustle to harmony. So I don't know if you read that and thought, oh, harmony, and you took a deep breath.
Yes.
Yes, we want the harmony, but we want the money too, right? So I spell it harmony because I was in the hustle. So what I would say to anyone who's listening, as you're listening to this, if you feel like and you were a great widget maker, and you started a widget making company, but you're still making widgets, you really aren't an entrepreneur. You're just a practitioner. And we want to elevate you up to being a CEO. So I'm doing the hustle. I'm doing all the things. We've all been told that by our coaches and mentors, right? Our managers. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do. I'm networking. I'm following through. I'm taking the phone call every minute that they call. I'm doing all the things.
Yeah.
But I'm miserable until one day, and I don't need to go to that story, but one day I said, I've had enough. I'm tired proving, and I'm ready to live. I'm done proving, and I want to start living. And I had to create, what I ended up creating was my Household of Harmony framework of how do I just do what I'm doing? I'm pretty successful as a loan officer, but how do I do that in 4 days a week and not be in the hustle and not be everyone's beck and call girl, right? Or call guy. And so I developed this framework, started applying it. I had a lot of leadership and management experience. I had a ton of sales experience. And I'm an empath, so I think that might help. I don't know, I'm very aware of people, right?
Sure.
And one day I was sitting in my office and I got this box, this small little box, and it had a plaque in it. And it said top 200 loan officers in the country. I had funded 120 million. I had doubled what I had funded before. And I was working 4 days a week. And I still only work 3 or 4 days a week with 4 companies because I've mastered this. It takes time, right? But I know the trick, right? To get people there faster so they can compress their time. But I looked and, this is me, right? I go, I'm not number 1, I'm not number 2, I'm not number 50. Where am I? Right? And I was in 178, but then I went on that list 5 different times. And, and so I realized that, if I grow a team, and this is really big for people because a lot of people say, I don't want to manage people, I don't want to babysit. And I'm talking about you need an AI team, you need a virtual team, and you need a real team. You do need people that actual interaction as well as the AI. And so I started growing my team, and that's where I started scaling. But when you recognize as an entrepreneur that you need to buy your time back by hiring a team, then that will give you all the freedom you want. So my mantra is stop working in and on your business and start living above and beyond it.
Love that. So it requires obviously some trust and putting into place some systems and learning to let go a little bit.
Let go to grow.
Yeah. I love that.
Let go to grow.
Yeah. And so by putting these teams into place, obviously it allowed you to free up some of your time to focus on, I guess, more of the growth strategy part of business building.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I call it finding, minding, and grinding. What we do is, and I've heard it rephrased as, wearing multiple hats, whatever you want to call it. But where our genius zone lies, that's where we should be working on. That's why we started this business, because we know we're so good at that one thing, the expertise. We come into this business and then we try to be a social media person. We try to maybe create PowerPoints when we've never done them before, right? We try to do all of these aspects that are not our wheelhouse. And so our business becomes an anchor for us, right? Rather than something that we can aspire to be happy about, whether it's some money. I don't care if it's a money or if it's just a lifestyle. I'm all about lifestyle. I believe that you should live your legacy while you're building it. I don't think you should build your legacy and hope you have enough time to live it, right? So I think that we have it backwards when we come into entrepreneurship and we forget the thing that we love the most. So that's the finding the business. The minding is serving your clients, and then the grinding is doing all the other work. But we need to hire people, team members, to fulfill the areas that we're not that great at and we shouldn't be doing. And then we have to learn how to manage them. So we need some soft skills, we need some hard skills, we need systems in place before we bring them on, so that we have a tendency as entrepreneurs, right? I'm gonna hold my phone. When your phone gets to 15%, we run around like chickens with our head cut off. I need juice. I need juice. I need a battery. I need a reset, right? When our business gets down to 15%, we're just busy and don't know. And then we turn around and go, I need to hire somebody. And so you do one interview and you like them. So you say, I like you so much. Let's bring you on and we'll find a spot for you. Watch out. You're skating on thin ice. You're skating on thin ice, right? So we want to do that forward thinking about that as well.
And when you did reach that point where you said that, I guess a lot of people would call it their breaking point, realizing that I can't continue to go on this way. I think the mindset, especially, you know, you and I both coming from Michigan, that Midwestern mentality of we're just going to grind and work hard and put your head down and don't complain. And I think people think that that's a badge of honor to just grind. And I only got 4 hours sleep last night, and I'm going to just keep grinding and grinding, because a lot of our self-worth and self-identity is wrapped up in all of that. What was that breaking point, if you will, that made you realize I can't keep continuing doing this, and recognizing that I think the important thing here that you recognized was that Jenny without a penny, that was something that was driving you until you said it didn't. Was there a instance or something that made you finally realize and recognize that I don't need to keep chasing something that doesn't serve me anymore? And what was that shift for you where you finally said, you know what, I can't keep doing what I'm doing?
And I wasn't going to tell the story, but I'm happy to. But, you know, as you're listening in to this, you know, this conversation that we're having, my hope is that you never get to this point. I will just preface it by saying that, right? So I'm an entrepreneur. I go to dinner. I'm doing air quotes if you're only listening. Sure, you go to dinner. I go to dinner with my family and I get a phone call, because that's what everyone said I need to do. You got to take the phone call because the business is coming in. I've learned now I don't take those phone calls. If it's meant to be, it'll be there. And it's hard. That's a hard decision to make, right? Because we're hungry. We're hungry. Yeah. But I took the call and I told my husband, and by the way, and we might even have been in flip phones. I can't even remember, but I remember covering those up and making this promise that I knew I would break to my husband. I'm only going to be 5 minutes. My client needs
only 5 minutes. It'll just be 5 minutes. Yeah.
Anybody else know that, right? You know that, right? You're driving down the road and you're going, oh, I know that one, right? And and 5 minutes. So I go outside of this restaurant and I walk what I call the concrete balance beam. So it's a curve. Do you know that one?
Oh, yeah. I've done that.
And now when I see people doing it, I'm like, oh, God bless you. God bless you. Right. And right. So I'm walking back and forth and I'm doing my cute little pirouettes on it while I'm walking and, doing all that. And I'm actually, at some point, I walked away from that and started opening up the door, and I would cover the phone again and say, you're really going to like this food and you're going to like this place. And I'm opening the door for people. So I realized I'm not listening to my client. I'm not serving them. I'm definitely not serving me, because inside I'm like, oh, has it been 5 minutes? Has it been 10? He's going to be mad at me again. He's going to roll his eyes and I'm going to get in a fight. And I'm not serving my family. And I haven't, have you ever felt like you've just been on a train and your whole life is just, that's the hustle. Your whole life is just passing you by. In fact, Colin, I didn't even know. My daughter said to me, remember when we went parasailing? I said, I've never been parasailing. She goes, yes, you have. Because it was on a vacation where I spent most of it in the hotel room on my computer closing deals.
Wow.
Don't even remember that I parasailed. And it was in Hawaii. And I don't remember it. I have no idea, no recollection. I told her, you're gaslighting me. She's like, no, I'm not. Right? But I happened to look over while I was talking, just kind of check it. Is he mad? What's going on? Right? Looked over into the restaurant. And sometimes I get really emotional about this, because I looked over into the restaurant, into the window, and they were doing little spitballs and laughing and creating all these beautiful memories. And I was never in them. I just wasn't in them. I was never present. And I know all of you listening, you can feel that. Like you're not in it. My whole life was excuse driven. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry for dinner. I'm sorry that took longer. I'm sorry I didn't pick you up in time for recital. I'm sorry I have a client and I can't be at your recital. And when we are business, not even business owners, we have to get to the point where our core values truly become core values that are non-negotiables and have boundaries around them. So when we're walking around and saying family is a core value, my question to you is it? Is it really? Because I was saying that. I was saying faith was a core value, but I'd get a call before I walk into mass and I'd be on the phone and miss church, sitting out in the parking lot.
Wow.
Is it really a core value? Is family really a core value when you work all those hours and only get 4 hours of sleep and have that badge of honor for it?
Right.
Right? Are they really your core values? And I literally shrugged my shoulders, hung up with the client, don't even remember. I ended up having to call them back and say, I apologize. I lost my notes. And I lied, right? And I found myself in that vicious circle of doing that. The bottom line is I wasn't listening to him because I was opening doors and doing this and worried about that and all of it. And I was done. I was just so done with it. And I said, there has to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to be successful without this chaos. And I've never looked back. And my goal in life is to help people get out of that chaos.
So is it really is it like a self-identity decision? Is it like just a carving out in your calendar of like non-negotiables? What was it that made you?
Yeah, I would love for all of me to answer all that, but I won't have time here. But I was in the mechanics of everything. Do. Now I speak about this with the sword, right? Because I've been knighted, and I talk about wielding the sword, fighting the battles. You fight all day long and you won the battle, but you're still exhausted. There are times when you have to step back and you have to carry the scepter, right? And start saying, what are the things that are important? I call it eating soup with a fork. We do a lot of activities all day long that are like eating soup with a fork. Yeah. Right? We're not full, we're not fulfilled, we don't know what happened. It's just a chaotic mess and we're exhausted from it, right? Yeah. And so, it's I forgot what you asked me. That's what I forgot. And that's okay. Don't edit it out. Don't edit that out.
More of I think you answered it, and I really like the idea of swapping out the sword for the scepter, where it's instead of like the manual drudging away and just grinding, it's how can I start to look at this and do this in a smarter way, and what are my priorities and what are the outcomes that I'm focused on getting, and how can we do this a little more efficiently and with more harmony?
Yeah, so it was the mechanics, and then I realized I needed to have mindset. I have a very high IQ, but I didn't have a high EQ. So I had to do a lot of personal development because I was in financial services. We don't do personal development. Come on, that's for sissies, right? So I started doing personal development, and here's what I found out: mindset plus mechanics creates momentum. That's where the momentum happened, when I had the mindset of a sophisticated, elevated, EQ-driven entrepreneur.
So mindset plus mechanics equals momentum. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so once you started to decide that you were going to operate differently, was it then you said, okay, I'm only going to be doing work between these certain hours. Anything outside of that time, if it's going to be, and if it's meant to be, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, it is. I learned. I have tons of mantras that I use in my business. It's crazy. It's how I live. My husband's an acronym guy, and I'm a mantra girl. So it's just what it is. I finally realized that I only want to work, and you all want to write this down. I want to work with people that complement and not complicate me, my practice, and my life. So I was so afraid to tell someone that I couldn't talk to them because I was going into church. I no longer care about that. Hey, I'd love to talk to you right now. If you can talk to me afterwards, great. And if you can't, you need to call 50 other people and work with them. I don't care. That's fine. But I'm going into mass. Right? So I had to put boundaries around those things. And I lost a lot of clients. I lost a lot of referral partners, but that's okay because they weren't in my wheelhouse. They weren't aligned with my values, and that's okay. And some people even said, who does she think she is that she can't call me back at 8 o'clock at night? Well, I'm a person that's trying to survive, all right, and thrive and create a business and have a life and not die in the process. And if you can't handle it, see ya.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I'm sure that was difficult, but did you see, obviously you said you lost some clients, but I'm sure that obviously with the success you've generated, what did you discover after doing that you were like, oh, wow, this actually does work?
Yeah, I know exactly when that happened. So I was invited to go to Dubai to speak at an event. No, I apologize. Australia to speak at an event. And it would take me how many, I don't even know, gazillion days to get there, right? A whole bunch of days to get there. It was a $35,000 speaking event, and I was on stage and I was going to be speaking. I was going to be at a panel and then I was going to do 2 breakouts and all of this. And our egos as business owners like, woo, check me out, right? We're having so much fun with that. But then I went back and I go, let me call a friend, right? Those being my values. I went back and I said, okay, faith. I happen to deliver, for those of you who aren't Catholic, I apologize, but it's just who I am. Can I be me? Is it okay if I'm me? So I deliver communion to hospice patients. I had a series of hospice patients that were unfortunately on the brink of passing away. And there's in that bond that you create when you're delivering communion to them, right? The church is coming to and visiting them. That bond is so important. And the worst thing that could be is like, oh, who are you? And who are you? And who are you? Could I have said, hey, I have a speaking gig. Can you get other people to go? Yes. But it was one strike. Number 2, family. My daughter was getting married. And during that time, we were going to go wedding dress shopping. Could I have said to her, hey, I have this $35,000 thing, that could pay for the wedding, right? A portion of the wedding. And would it be okay if we just moved your dress shopping? Could I? Ooh. Sure. But strike two.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me, a stability of time and stability of finances. If I go, this is going to take me 2.5 weeks from the daily routine of sales and marketing, right? Sales and marketing, hobnobbing, networking, etc. So there would be a lull in my business that I wouldn't see immediately. I would see it a couple months down the road. And so that's a stability of business. And then I was like, time, 2.5 weeks. My gosh, this is a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
So I said no. I said, I would love to. I got the opportunity to be an international speaker later, right? But I said, I would really like to, but I can't. But guess what? In that 2.5 weeks, I brought in $65,000.
Wow. There you go.
And there you go, right? So hold those values tightly. You may lose here and there, but the gain is, that's why I say it's 5 times. 5 times. The gain's 5 times.
Beautiful. I love it. And so now I'd love to start talking about how after you decided that people were asking you, how did you become successful? And you were wanting to give back and share some of your wisdom and starting this podcast 15 years ago. Obviously, you've learned quite a bit because you were at the forefront before podcasting became a thing. And now that what I loved about hearing you talk about the time that is wasted by people just slapping a microphone in front of them and putting it up online, the strategy behind all of this. Can you share with us, because you work with clients and with your Golden Mic Mastery program, you help people who are looking to really create an impact with sharing their voice and generating more awareness around what they do to scale business and serve more of their clients and community. Can you share with us a little bit about what you've learned over the past 15 years from your podcasting, and maybe some of the strategy that some of my audience may want to start to listen and hear about in terms of what are some of the important things to know about if you're starting a podcast or if you have one and are looking to actually create more impact with it?
Wow, it's such a loaded question, Colin. It's such
It's a lot, I know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's so much I could share. And when I do my workshops, they're 3 days long. So there's no way I can share it all, right? But I mean, the thing that's most important for me right now, there are two pieces to this, and this is why I'm calling it the golden mic, right? And I have a golden mic behind me. The golden mic is because the two pieces I want to share is that there's an exposure illusion and there is a gold rush going on right now with podcasts, okay? And that is post-pandemic. That's really when it started coming in, because everyone said, well, I don't have anything else to do. You even said it, right? I'm going to start a podcast, right? So the exposure illusion is that getting on podcasts because I need exposure, I want to get credibility, I want to get influence, to be able to grow my business. Because of the statistics behind podcasting, that is a fallacy. It's an illusion. You being on a podcast all by itself, all alone, is definitely a fallacy for that because of the statistics. And so I'll just drop down to one statistic: is that less than 2% of guests make money from being on a podcast. There are 4.5 million currently registered and indexed podcasts in the world.
Wow.
Right? Less than 2% make any money as a guest. There are 584 million listeners, right? And they're usually elevated listeners. They're educated, they're, make more money. That's where they're at, because the rest of them are just scrolling through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, and they're, they want to listen, they want to learn. So you've got 584 million people listening to 4.5 million podcasts, right? Million podcasts. And what that translates to is that the average podcast, the downloads within 7 days, the average podcast is 27 downloads. 50% of those podcasts, I'm sorry, not the average. 50% of podcasts are only 27 downloads. The average is 100 to 300. Downloads, right?
Okay.
So it's not about how many downloads you have. It's not about how long you've been in. It's not about any of that. In fact, 68% of podcasts that start only get to the 10 episodes, and 1 in 3 of them only get to 3 episodes. They start and quit.
Wow.
So I ask you, as you're hearing this, who's listening?
Yep.
Who in fact is listening? Is your target market listening? Right? Are they listening? So we have to get past the fallacy that it's all about illusion. What it really is for me, and the reason why I started this particular program, which is sort of a starter program for businesses, or for businesses that are successful and they're going, now what do I do with myself? Right? Well, go and be on podcast, maybe. But the challenge I have is that people say, go get on podcasts, be on podcasts, go as many as you can. And people clamor to me as someone who has 3 constantly, and they show up unprofessional, they speak unprofessional, they don't have a strategy, they don't have a plan, they don't have a follow through, their stories are horrible, they don't have sound bites, they don't have, I can just go on and on and on what is missing in that process. They're fun, but fun doesn't fill the bank account, right? So being a podcast guest or deciding to be a podcast host, if you choose to do that, and I'm just saying the odds are against you now, but if you choose to do that, it is now, you've got to look at it as a new monetization, a new rev stream in your business. It's another revenue stream. And I think it's one of the best ones because it's free PR. It's free PR. But what's most important about monetization is looking at the business behind the podcast host. It's the business behind the podcast host. I've got all kinds of podcasts, but I'm a business owner first. And the reason I have the podcast is to help my business. The reason you're a guest is for you to get to know me. It's a new form of networking. You know, I hear people say all the time, I went networking and I didn't get any business. Well, you don't network to get business. You network to identify referral partners that can help you collaborate. And we've identified 23 different ways that people can collaborate. Most people know 4. Right, 23, and this is how I created $100 million a year and $400 million in revenue. I did it with 22 people, not thousands, not tens of thousands. I focused my attention in serving and helping my partners grow their business, and then they helped me grow my business, right? And this is what I do today. This is what I do today. Not everybody gets to be a partner of mine. Right? Because I don't have that bandwidth. You don't have that bandwidth to go skimming around. The great Les Brown says, be casual about your business will become a casualty. So stop being casual.
Good quote. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Be precise. Have a strategy for doing it. So the podcast is the hinge to a door. And if all you do is show up on a podcast, you have a hinge. Where the money happens is the door. The relationship is the door, the opportunity, the opportunity door, the door that opens up to all the opportunities. Because I don't want to be on any podcast. And it's so funny to talk to you about this when I'm on your podcast. Okay, but I don't want to be on any podcast for the sake of being on a podcast and showing up and throwing up and hoping up, right? Praying that someone's going to connect with me, etc. I'm more interested in the relationship I can develop with you, Colin, because you align with what I align with. You're speaking to corporations and companies that I could be a speaker at. And I'm speaking at corporations and companies that you could be a speaker at. So instead of us out there in our own little boat with one oar going in tons of circles, why not get in the same boat and row together?
Love it.
We'll get further.
Beautiful. And so for someone who's, let's say, anyone who is looking to start a podcast, and when you help clients start the podcast and create the strategy, what would you say are some of the key things to focus on and key things to avoid when starting a podcast, knowing that the reason why you're doing the podcast is the business behind the podcast? And is that to get more clients? Obviously, you just talked about the relationship building. What are some of the key factors that you talk about with regards to?
Well, this is where I tailor and customize for individual people and it's part of the podcast selection as well. Right, selecting a podcast. For example, mortgage lending mastery. Most people are going to go, I don't know anything about mortgages. Well, we're not to the consumer, and there's a business behind it, right? The business behind it is that I coach business owners, entrepreneurs, salespeople, real estate agents, investors, business owners, founders, right, on business, on how to master mortgages, mortgage lending, right? So if you want to be a guest on that show, your initial look would be, the name is Mortgage Lending Pass. But if you listen to the show and you do some research on me, you'll find that if you're a social media guru or a branding expert or a time management guru, or you help people get out of imposter syndrome, anything that you can do to help support an entrepreneur, then you'd want to connect with me and say, I'd like to be on the show because I can add value to the audience, right? You want to add value to the audience. This is not a one-way conversation. This is a three-way conversation. You've heard me several times in here. So if you're listening, or write this down, because it's 3 of us having a conversation. It's not you ask me a question, I answer a question, you ask me a question, right? Yeah. So look at the podcast name and then look at the business behind it, and then listen to some of the episodes, because you'll find that some of especially with Mortgage Lending Master, you'll find that once in a while I'll have a mortgage expert on, but it's still how to be a great salesperson, how to, have this business. Same thing with Business on the Vine, all of them. So if you're going to do a podcast, I think one of the things you want to ask yourself, if you want to be a host, is to ask yourself what to name it, because what you're naming it will attract or detract people, right? Yours says Beyond Impact. I love it. You and I talked about it. I have another YouTube show called Beyond the Podcast, right? So I love that. And I do In, On, Above, Beyond, so I'm all over it. But that's what attracted to me. I go, oh, the name is cool. Let me find out more. And then I said, well, what do you do? And right, I said, what do you actually do? And you said, well, I help people about presence in the room and walking. I go, business owners need that. That's a collaboration. Can I teach that? Sure. But am I the expert? No. My expertise lies with leadership and management, right? Becoming a better leader. So yeah, that's why I came to you and said, hey, let's talk, right? So we have to do some digging in there. But if you're going to be a host, think about the name that you're getting. Will it push people away or will it bring people? I thought about, and someone had suggested to me that it needs to be the Jen Du Plessis show. And I went, well, what good is that? Most people can't pronounce Du Plessis, is Du Plessis, all these different names. For me, that's not going to make sense. Someone said, do Lady Jen. I said, that's not I don't go out and go, look at me. I'm not like that. So for me, even coming in with Business on the Vine, it was, the song, I heard it through the grapevine. Right? And I realized that Brian and I, we have some ownership in a vineyard. We always invite people up to the vineyard. And what do we talk about? Business. We talk about business. And so Business on the Vine. And when you're a guest, you're going to be a guest in March on my show, my TV show. We're going to be drinking wine and talking business.
And tell me about, when you say TV show, is it some, because a lot of podcasts are now being streamed onto TV platforms. Can you share with us some of the ways because Hollywood is shifting right now as well, and it's trying to figure itself out. And a lot of people are talking about creating podcasts that are in that 24 or 48 minute time frame to be able to fit into what's that?
We're real strict on that time. Yeah, we are definitely real strict on those times because we want to make sure that our advertisers can fit in. So that's why you do that on a TV show. And yes, you can do it on the podcast as well. We have advertisers on ours. I don't know who they are. I don't solicit them because it's not where you make money. It's not. I mean, there are maybe the top 0.0 point whatever percent make money from sponsorship. But the general average person is not going to make money from advertising, from commercials, from sponsorship. It's just, that's an anomaly. It's another illusion, right? It's part of this podcast rush. Everybody's rushing to do it, sifting through the things, but very few are striking gold. Yeah.
And so would you say the main reason to start a podcast is to create the relationships that are going to ultimately feed your business and grow your business?
Sorry.
And I was going to say, with doing that, does it help to do Facebook ads and chopping up the podcast into segments and blog posting? And do you do all of that?
Do all that? Sure, I do all of that, but I know where the money is. The money is in the relationship. Right. So you and I started off in this way, right? We met at an event. I was speaking at the event. We talked after the event. You have a podcast. I have a podcast. Let's do a swap. Right. And then I said, but wait a minute, I've got the TV show. We can do it vamp it up a little bit more than podcasting. Let's do that. Oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to this thing called Secret Knock that I've been part of. Would you like to be my guest? We're just at the baby steps of all the things we can do together. You don't even know that you're going to be a guest at my workshop for podcasting, right? For the mic, because you're going to talk about presence.
Beautiful.
So people show up under, behind the scenes, and the cat is on her lap and the tail comes, So you're going to talk about that kind of stuff because I bring my partners in for that purpose so that they go, who are you and how do I connect with you? Because you might even have a better connection with someone who's in the class to get you further than I could. I don't know, right? Yeah. you could be the solution to their problem. And you'll make money, I'll make money, they'll be happy, right? But it doesn't stop there. I have books.
Mhm.
Do you have books? I'm part of associations. Are you part of associations? I'm part of nonprofits. Are you part of nonprofits? Have you ever emceed? Have I emceed? Do you want to emcee? Because I've emceed, I can introduce you there. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And people just stop short and hope. And I just have to step in front and tell these people that are teaching people, go be on podcasts. I go, stop telling them that. And then I turn around and say, let me walk you through this journey. If you're going to go out there, let's do it right. Before, during, and after the podcast interview, which is just the most inconsequential piece of the whole puzzle, the actual interview. Believe it or not, here we are, right? It is.
Well, if someone anyone in my audience here is looking to get more information about how you may be able to help them and support them with their podcast or starting a podcast, your Golden Mic Mastery program, can you tell us a little bit about what that is? And would they go to your website here to find out more about what that looks like and how to work with you?
They might, well, definitely go there if you want to work with me from a high-end perspective, in business coaching. Definitely do that. I don't know if the mic is in there. We started this in August. I was just, God kept poking at me, and I'm like, fine, I hear you. We'll go through this, right? But we'll have a special link that you can put in the notes here that gets people to that. It starts off by coming to my masterclass. It's a 3-hour masterclass, and I have a VIP as well. And and I have speakers on it, just like you might be on a masterclass too, and at the workshop. But come to the masterclass, learn a little bit more. Let me open up your mind to the opportunities to see this as a revenue-driven activity as opposed to a fun activity. And look, I get on podcasts because sometimes I just want to have fun. I was on a podcast about divorce, and I was like, what am I going to talk about? But we called it Laugh Your Way to a Happy Marriage because I've been married for 42 years, right? And so that was fun. Am I getting business out of it? No, it's fun. But it can't all be fun or your business is not going to survive. So we work on personal skills, we work on business skills. You'll get tapped into my business coaching, not all of it, but some of it, right? Where it fits you. Presentation skills, we build your media kits, we build your messaging for you and help you with that. We help you with tech support so that you know how to well, we got on here today, right? And I said, how's this mic? Doesn't sound good. Let's move to another mic. Should you have backup mics? I've got 4 or 5 different mics here I could use, right? The tech support, the affiliate links, your Zoom, your lead magnet, your backdrops. Do you have a YouTube channel or not? How do you create the community where you will make the money, right? That's where the real revenue happens. And how do you conduct one-to-ones where you aren't pitching each other and work alongside and have relationships that I call them, they're power partners, right? They're power partners of yours. And by the way, I told you 22 people, but I had 12 apostles, right? I had 12 people that were the top notch of mine. You could call them your preferred referral partners, where you will jump through hoops for them, help them with anything and everything because they're doing the same for you. That's the currency that's being exchanged. It's the helping one another get expansion and exposure and exploding your businesses, right? So we're gonna cover a lot of that. We cover a ton of it in the masterclass, and then the workshop. I mean, not the workshop, but the Golden Mic Mastery itself, the course. We go so much deeper. We have a workshop. Would it be okay if I just got you the results faster? So we start off with a workshop, and we do all the work for you so that you don't have anything preventing you from moving forward.
That sounds great. And I'll put the link for anyone who's interested to find out more about information. And then beyond that, you do work with clients on a higher echelon or a different level. Can you tell us a little bit about how you consult with some of those kinds of clients?
Oh, yeah, but that's my elite business success, right? These are founders, premier, high achieving people. Generally they're in the 1 million to 30 million range. They're private companies, not large institutions, right? I can do that. I've done it before. I just don't prefer to do it. I usually, in that capacity, I'm, coming in and teaching management and leadership skills. But for the businesses, I just want to help people that are going, well, let me tell you about Dawn. She came to me 17 years in the business. She owns a roofing company, a brick and mortar roofing company, 17 years, 45 employees, 13 million top line revenue, 5 managers. And she's working 7 to 7, 7 days a week. And I said, why now? Why are you coming to me now? And she said, I'm coming to you because I can't do it anymore. I'm exhausted. I don't have a life. My health is failing. I'm excuse ridden, right? All of these things are going on. So we came in and trained her managers how to manage, her how to lead and manage. We did a lot of fixing of systems. The 45 employee, the first employee was still there 17 years later, but he made half as much as the most recent employee that just got brought on. She never gave raises, 17 years.
Wow.
And I said, oh my gosh, we have to do this. She was trying to do everything. She was circumventing her managers. So we had to work on her soft skills. We had to work on some hard skills as well. 8 months later, she went from 13 million to 18 million top line revenue. That wasn't the goal. The goal was give me my life back. She now works 5 days a week, 9 to 5.
Incredible.
Managers do the work. So it's, we press, and I know you do this too. We press for people is like, don't let it get to that. That was my ghost. Don't let it get to that. That story I told you outside of the restaurant, it got to that. And often people come to me because they get to that point. And I know you can solve a lot of problems. Everybody can solve a lot of problems. A lot of coaches can. Don't let it get to that point. If it feels that way, if you have those characteristics of excuses and missing things, and you're tired and exhausted, and you think it's a badge of honor to say how busy you are, it is the busyness of busy. It's time to move from hustle to harmony. And let's figure out how you can work above and beyond your business.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, I appreciate your time and the value that you've brought to me and my audience. And before we go here, just would love to hear, just lastly, what is the impact that you are still desiring to make, and what is the legacy impact story that you're hoping to tell and leave as your legacy that has made all the difference to the people that you've come into contact with?
Yeah, thank you. I think the number one thing is I lived life on my terms. Right? I get to choose. We often hear, I have to, and everyone says, no, it's get to. Notice I go way beyond this in on or get to, like looking for the next level. Right? No, no, you don't have to. You get to do laundry because you have a house and you have clothes. The next level is choose. I choose my hours. I choose the days I work. I choose the people I work with, the clients I serve, the referrals I have. I choose what stages I go on. I get to choose. I don't ever have to. And that's the issue with that, illusion of exposure. It's like, I have to be everywhere. So no more FOMO, only promo. Only promo. No more FOMO, only promo. Right?
No more FOMO, only promo.
Only promo. I'm going someplace if I can speak to my audience. I'm going someplace if my audience is in the audience, and I'm going to something where I can promote my personal development. That has nothing to do with what I do for a living, right? I went to a healing retreat because I needed some personal development. So it's only promo, no more FOMO, right? And then I'll leave you with this quote that my mom used to say, okay? And it belongs to Ellen Wheeler. I found out later on, but it's, we flatter those we scarcely know, right? All those clients, all the people, right? We flatter those we scarcely know. We please the fleeting guests, but we deal many a thoughtless blow to those we love the best.
Wow.
Be as good to you as you are to your business. Be as good to your family as you are to this business. right? Family's everything. And that's why I got to choose. I got to choose to be with my family. I don't want someone to say, oh, she did $400 million in this career and X million in that career. I want them to say, oh, I love that grandma spent time with me. I don't go by grandma, Dama, but that Dama taught me how to make popcorn from scratch. That Dama, showed me how to speed read. That Dama riding horses with me, that she took me to the races. We've got race horses. So, that's what I want to leave. But you will not leave that if you're stuck in front of your computer and hustle.
So true. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Such great wisdom, such great little reminders about what's important in life and reminding us what our priorities could be if we decide to choose and make the decisions that honor ourselves. And if you're interested in connecting with Jen, again, her website is www.ladyjenduplessis.com, and her program that will help you get a strategy around starting or scaling your podcast, something I would definitely check out. And Jen, I'm looking forward to doing some more networking with you and being on your podcast and just creating more abundance and impact in this year to come.
Thank you. Me too. Thank you. And thanks everybody for listening. And we hope that this was good for you. And I know I talk fast. I'm from the East Coast, so you probably got to watch this over and over.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was great, Jen. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. And for those of you who are interested, again, in getting more information about Jen, you can visit her website. And appreciate everyone who tunes in every week. If you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button and the like button, because it obviously helps me be able to invite better and amazing guests like Jen today. And for those of you who are interested in deciding to choose, as Jen said, a better life, and if you're tired of that hustle and that grind and are ready to give up that self-identity of needing or feeling that you need to do certain things that no longer serve you, and it's time for you to really starting a new leaf with the new year starting out this way. This is a great opportunity for you to really start becoming more intentional about the things that you put into place. And I love the analogy of trading in the sword for the scepter that Jen talked about. And I think sometimes we just need these little reminders about, it's not about, what has gotten us to where we are at currently in life may not serve us for where we want to go. And sometimes it's time for us to really do some self-introspective work to think about, okay, what do I want for this year? And what are my goals? What am I ready for? What am I willing to let go of? And if you're feeling that you may be in this situation where you're needing a little motivation, or what Jen talked about in terms of creating that momentum, whether it's Jen or myself, I've got my Inspire program that starts actually this Sunday. And if you're interested in finding out more what Inspire is, it's my 6-week boot camp in mindset, goal setting, and helping you start to look at your life and rewrite the script of your life in terms of looking at where your life is at right now as your act 1. And then we help you create your act 3, where you want to be in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And then looking at what is the act 2. And much like your favorite TV shows or your favorite movies, there's a challenge or an obstacle that the character has to face and overcome in order for the act 3 to happen. And any great story, any epic, legendary story requires this obstacle or this challenge. And most of the time in life, because we are creatures of habit, we seek more comfort than confrontation. A lot of the times we avoid the challenge or the obstacle that is the very thing that will provide the opportunity for you to be able to, as Jen says, choose to lean into, to provide the opportunity for us to grow, for us to be able to elevate, and for us to be able to become the person that would allow for our dream, legacy, impact, act 3 to actually happen. So again, whether it's myself and my Inspire program, or whether it's Jen and all the resources and coaching and things that she can do for you, I would encourage you to reach out. As Jen said, she got to that point where she realized that she needed some help and that she couldn't do this on her own. And by putting in teams and systems, it enabled her to get her life back, her time, her freedom. And if you are in this place where you are needing a little bit of that help and that support with getting some of your time and your freedom and really getting intentional about what honors you, I would encourage you to reach out. It is not a sign of weakness when you reach out for help. It is a sign of self-awareness and that you truly honor yourself and honor what it is that you are up to and what kind of impact that you want to make in the world, especially for your family as well, as Jen talked about today. So thank you again, Jen, and thank you to everyone again who tunes in every week. Look forward to sharing more wisdom, insight, so that you can create more impact in your life. And again, the reason why I entitled this Beyond Impact, because it's not just how you show up to create impact in the present moment. It is, how do you want people to remember you? What impact do you want to have left them after you actually leave the room and leave their presence? What is the legacy that you want to leave for not only yourself, but for your family and for the world in general? Because the world needs more of your positivity and your voice and your impact. And it's time for you to really step up and evolve into that self-identity of who you know yourself to be, but maybe you need a little help and support to actually get there. Again, I would encourage you to reach out to whoever it is that may be able to help you get you there, including myself and Jen. And with that, I will leave you to have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Take care.